I have to go somewhere and I don't think I can come back. But I just want you to know, getting to be around you and Benicio was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Drive is a beautifully crafted masterpiece, and Driver, the nameless protagonist, is one of my favourite movie characters of all time. He is a getaway driver, a stuntman, a mechanic, and really just a superb driver in general. He's quite a straightforward character, and although hyper-stylized, the film at its core is also quite simplistic. But sometimes simple films are the best films. We first meet Driver whilst on the phone explaining his role as the getaway driver.
You give me a time and a place, I give you a 5-minute window. Anything happens in that 5 minutes and I'm yours. No matter what. Anything happens a minute either side of that and you're on your own. Do you understand?
This opening perfectly establishes his character. He is precise, a man of his word, a reasonable man, but if you cross him, he will not be so tolerant. The scorpion jacket also makes him stand out from all the other players in this game, and I of course own one myself. The first getaway presents us with impressive driving, and also some very clever tactics as the heist is timed perfectly with a basketball game. This is so the criminals can ditch the vehicle nearby and disappear amongst a crowd of fans. Straight away, Driver is not your conventional protagonist. As tense as this chase felt, there actually wasn't a single moment where he didn't have a fast and appropriate reaction. In terms of skill, this character does not need to climb any further. He will not need to go on a real hero's journey.
You put this kid behind the wheel, there's nothing he can't do.
However, he does need to learn a few life lessons and ultimately what life is all about. Driver is not good with women. Oh my god, could he be any more like me? He later spots this woman Irene with her son Benicio at a store, and then notices their car has broken down outside, so Driver offers his assistance. This will be a good chance for these people to get to know each other.
Hey, do you want to see something?
Yeah.
This scene, accompanied with the song A Real Hero, is beautiful. It is pretty much the inverse of the opening. There's a happy tone. They show a more natural environment compared to the density of the city, and the high exposure gives off a more heavenly vibe. It is like a dream Driver never realised he needed. A stark contrast compared to the reality of the criminal world he's involved in. But unfortunately, it's not too long after that Irene is informed that her criminal husband is being released from prison and is due home soon. Reality then kicks in. There is a red traffic light, followed by muffled, distant audio. It is cliché to say that show don't tell is the best route for a film to take, but it's done superbly here. These characters have barely spoken to each other, but that's okay. They don't need to constantly talk to have a connection. Now they are separate, what better way to present that than have close-ups of their faces with their emotions being communicated clearly. Driver is alone in his dark, empty apartment. And despite Irene being in a different setting surrounded by people, she feels exactly the same way. But this connection is not entirely broken, and soon it will be more important for Driver to be involved with the family. The husband Standard gets beaten up because he owes some people protection money from when he was inside. They now want him to do a job for them, so Driver offers to help. This is where his two worlds are about to collide. He never had a personal stake in his previous jobs, which is partly why he was so good at it. It was easy for him because once something was complete, he would walk away. He never wanted to maintain any contact.
I got this sweet job coming up.
How about this? Shut your mouth, or I'll kick your teeth down your throat and I'll shut it for you.
But now it's essential this job goes smoothly. Not for his sake, but for Irene and Benicio's.
They said they're gonna come after Benicio and Irene next.
Unfortunately, the job does not turn out as expected, as the whole thing was a setup and Standard gets killed. Irene is now a widow. Benicio is fatherless. And Driver is tied to a robbery and is seen as a liability by some higher up bosses. What follows is a series of violence as people come after Driver and Driver goes after people. And just before he takes this any further, he admits to Irene what's happened.
I have to tell you something. Standard was into some guys in prison for a lot of money. And they were gonna hurt you and Benicio if you didn't pay it. He asked me for my help. Everything went wrong, you know? I'm sorry. I still got the money. You could have it if you wanted to. You could take Benicio and...
Irene is understandably frustrated and upset. She does not care about the money. All she wanted was someone to share her life with and someone to be a good father figure for Benicio.
I just thought you could get out of here if you wanted. I could come with you. I could look out for you.
The two proceed to get into the elevator and Driver notices the man in there is holding a gun. There's a dramatic lighting shift as Driver guides Irene to the far side of the elevator before kissing her. Ultimately, he's in too deep now and has to end it once and for all. He kills one of the bosses, Nino, and now the only real players left are Driver and the other boss, Bernie. Before he goes to meet him, Driver phones up Irene, letting her know that spending time with her and Benicio was the best time of his life. This is a final goodbye, letting go of that dream and coming to terms with his reality.
Any dreams you have, or plans, or hopes for your future, I think you're gonna have to put that on hold. For the rest of your life, you're gonna be looking over your shoulder. I'm just telling you this because I want you to know the truth. But the girl is safe.
Following this conversation, they head into the car park and as Driver is about to hand over the money, he gets stabbed. So he does the same and comes out on top. Despite his bleeding wound, Driver is lost in his thoughts, most likely thinking about those happy memories. He drives out the car park, leaving the money behind. Driver working part-time in the movie industry makes a lot of sense. It felt good for him to escape and briefly pretend to be somebody else. He was involved in the criminal world. He was quite psychopathic. But he got a glimpse of a beautiful life. And it was that glimpse that motivated him to make some selfless choices. And for that alone, Driver can be viewed as a real hero. A real human being.